Tuesday was a very busy day for us at the shop. Jeremy's got the engine set down on the 55, and now he's working on fitting the radiator to the core support and making sure the fan clears the water pump. Meanwhile, Kenny's busy helping Billy get his Nova ready, putting new Mickey Thompson slicks on his weld wheels and helping Billy replot the 4-link in the Nova. Once they had the Nova up on the race ramp blocks, Billy started making some calculations, and Kenny helped Jeremy set the hood down on the 55 to check for hood clearance against the radiator. Although our 55 Chevy has a V8 core support, the radiator that I bought from Cold Case is intended to be mounted in front of the core support like a 6-cylinder. Once Jeremy had the hood closed, Scrappy helped him take some video underneath the car to see how well it fits. While the guys are busy working on that stuff back at the shop, I jumped into Malibu to run an errand into Reynoldsburg. Although it looks like it's going to rain any second, it's actually just smoke from these wildfires up in Canada. So anyway, now that I'm happy with the drivetrain in the Malibu, I made a post on Facebook the other day asking for recommendations for some place to get a stereo installed in the car. And there was one local business that came highly recommended, Columbus Car Audio on East Main Street in Reynoldsburg, Ohio. Since I already had the Malibu all cleaned up, I figured today was a good day to bring the car in and let them take a look at it and see what they had to offer in the way of a new stereo system and speakers to take the place of the original AM radio in the Malibu. It's been over 30 years since the last time I was in a stereo shop, and I couldn't believe how much things have changed. After about 20 minutes of looking around in the showroom, I don't even know where to begin. So I approach the counter and tell him what I'm up to today, and this gentleman takes down my name and information and comes out and takes a look at the Malibu to see what he can do, if anything, to help me out. So what's your name, man?
I'm Jay Cook.
Jay Cook.
Yep.
How long have you worked at Columbus Car Audio?
Whew, just a short lifetime. I started in 1998. I was a client of theirs in the early 90s, but I started here officially in 1998. So.
Dude, everything has changed since 1990 when I graduated in 91, and the big thing back then was what? Pioneer Super Tuners.
I know. It's nuts, man. And like we were talking a little bit, if you don't stay up on it, it's forget it. It's completely different than what it used to be. And we get people in here all the time. Oh, I can do this. I did it years ago when I was in high school, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of the same concept,
yeah,
but it's so much more involved. The cars are so much more involved too.
Right.
So that's the big thing, is just staying ahead of the times.
And the factory stereo systems today are just incredible. Just what comes from the factory.
Right.
So you guys have kind of branched out. I saw there's headrests over there for Ford Escapes and with televisions built in them.
Yeah, we do. Mobile video is still a big thing, even though the tablets have kind of taken over that route. But my wife still loves, I remember when she told me a couple years ago that she wanted a drop down for our kids. So we did a drop down video in her SUV with a DVD player. And I'm like, they have tablets. Why? Well, when we're on long trips and we pop a movie in, I don't have to worry about, oh, my tablet's dead, or
right,
I don't have, I don't have this downloaded. They can just entertain themselves.
Or the kids fighting really over the tablet.
Yeah, that too. My daughters don't fight. It's fine. So,
and then I saw over here you've got backup cameras that are built into rearview mirrors.
Yep, we do a ton of different safety features. So backup cameras. We even do blind spot cameras, which people don't know exist a lot of times, but some of the Hondas have them. They go underneath your mirror, so when you turn your signals on, it will, if you turn your left turn signal on, it shows the left camera that's underneath your mirror, so you can get a really good view of what's beside you.
That's crazy.
So it's really nice. And we even do front cameras, so on Corvettes or lowered vehicles that have a long nose and it's hard to kind of judge. Even lifted trucks, it's hard to see where you're at. You can put a front camera on there that helps with that too.
And you guys install all this stuff.
Absolutely.
You've got this whole setup back. This used to be the East Side Jegs.
Yes.
And I used to come in here all the time and buy parts when it was Jegs. And I haven't been in this building since when did Jegs close this?
It's been a long time, because there's been a couple other things, and then we came here in 2019, I believe.
Oh, so
we moved here. We were in the Walmart strip off 256, and we've been a couple other places on the east side. We were on Main Street years ago in Whitehall.
Right.
And then moved.
I remember that.
But yeah.
I remember that. This is going back a while.
Yeah, a couple days. But we've been here for about 4 years and love it. I mean, it's a great facility.
You're in a nice neighborhood.
It is. It's real nice.
So we're going to try and do something with my old Malibu so I can listen to some Hank Williams and some...
There we go. Hey.
Maybe some Foreigner.
All right.
I listen a little bit of Mobb Deep, a little bit of everything.
We'll get you rocking.
Okay.
We'll get you rocking for sure.
All right. Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming in.
Wednesday morning, Jeremy and I got together out in the shop for a little discussion as to what, if anything, he's gotten accomplished while I was gone yesterday in their Columbus Car Audio. What do you got there, bucko?
Radiator mounts.
Radiator mounts.
I'm in the middle of working on them, trying to slot the holes. I had a jig, but it seems to have gotten broken up at the farm, so now I'm doing it the hard way.
So how long is it going to take you to whittle those? A couple days?
No, I did this morning. Some of us get up, you know.
Who messaged who this morning?
I was already up for 2 hours before I even got a ting from you or Dad.
All right, well, I got to get going. I got to run down to Logan and go get fuel for the kids. Are you going to actually work on this today?
Yeah.
Okay, are you actually going to get something accomplished today?
Yeah. I get something accomplished every day.
Yeah? What's this sign all about?
That's to keep the race car guys at that end of the building.
If we don't start getting something accomplished on this thing, I'm going to have to turn the race car guys loose on it.
Yeah, no.
I was really hoping to have the 55 Chevy up and running for Good Guys weekend in Columbus, but it's not looking good. My main focus right now is making sure we can go test tonight at National Trails, and as long as it doesn't rain and I can make it down and get fuel for the kids, we should be good to go this evening. So I take the 64 and I make my trip down to Logan to Basil Oil Company to pick up 2 drums of methanol. That way Billy and Tommy have plenty of fuel to go test tonight and go race this weekend at Brown County Dragway for Gangster's Paradise. Once June Pup and I secured our load of fuel, we turned and burned back towards the shop where Kenny Powers is getting my Malibu ready to go test tonight. I've put about 200 or 300 miles on the car since we put the fresh engine back in it, and tonight would be a perfect opportunity to make some motor passes. However, we ran into a snag. Just as we were getting ready to load everything up and head to the track, we found out that the event had been canceled due to air quality. And a lot of people argued that the air quality at a drag strip probably isn't the best to begin with, but regardless, the decision had been made and we won't be testing this evening. Instead, Vicky and I decided to take Billy out to dinner and try and come up with a different plan to get some testing done before the weekend. And since I already had the Malibu all cleaned up and ready to go to trails, we decided just to take it to dinner instead. After a few minutes of deliberation, the choice had been made to go down to Buckeye Lake and have dinner at one of our favorite places. Now, our original plan was to leave Thursday morning to head over to Brown County to get our pit area set up. But now that we didn't get any testing done on Wednesday night, the only option for us to test before this weekend is to take the cars to Killcare to test tomorrow night on our way over to Brown County. So unfortunately, I won't be able to take the Malibu over there to test, but at least the boys will get to test the Nova, and hopefully we don't have any problems with it. Otherwise, we may be dead in the water Friday night first round off a trailer at Gangster's Paradise. So that brings us to Thursday morning, and by now, the air quality has improved slightly, so hopefully our luck this evening trying to test is better than last night. I went ahead and checked the fluid levels in the 64, and then me and the turd barrels took the truck out back to get it hooked up to the little open car trailer so that we can get the Falcon loaded up and tied down after it gets a bath. While Kenny's working on that, Jeremy and I decided it was time to pull the 55 Chevy out of the shop and turn it around so that we can put it on the lift and find out whether the headers are going to fit around the new steering gear box and come up with a game plan for the cross shaft and the clutch linkage. It appears that we've lucked out with the headers. They fit just fine. However, the clutch linkage is going to require some modifications. So right now the plan is for Jeremy to work on that clutch linkage while we're gone this weekend, so long as our test session this evening at Killcare goes according to plan. We all left the house late Thursday afternoon and went straight down to the Flying J to top off our fuel tanks before we hit the road. Thankfully, Killcare is only about 2.5 hours from our house and not far off the route to Brown County. It's also one of the nicest tracks here in Ohio. Aside from the drag strip, Killcare offers a round track, a road course, as well as a go-kart track for kids. Although the drag strip is a quarter-mile track, they typically only run 1/8 mile for the faster cars. Thankfully, this evening they'll have the AccuTime timing system turned on, and the track itself will be somewhat prepped. So even though we didn't get to test last night at Trails, this should be just as good, if not a better, opportunity to test Billy's Nova before we have to unload it and go straight off the trailer first round Friday night at Gangster's Paradise. So anyway, the boys unload the car and they make some final preparations before we take the car to the staging lanes. The only downside to this entire scenario this evening is if we have any issues with the car, we won't have very much time, if any, to take the car back to the shop and get it fixed before first round Friday night. Unfortunately, the Nova only made it about 60 feet before Billy had to abort the run. Despite his best efforts, Billy's Nova is still going hard left after it launches. We took the car back up to the staging lanes to try it one more time, but once again, our bad luck continues. Just as Billy brought the Nova into the staging lanes, the wind picked up and a pop-up thunderstorm moved in. We wanted to get Billy's Nova loaded in the trailer as quickly as possible, but the golf cart has to be loaded first. So it was a mad dash to get everything back to the pit, get the golf cart put inside, and get the Nova put away before everything got drenched. Moments later, it was announced that the test and tune had been canceled, and Billy decided it was best for us to head straight back up 71 to Columbus, and he called Kenny to let him know that we need the 55 off the lift and all the tools assembled on the project cart so that we could get busy as soon as we got back in the driveway. Because at this point, we're in a race against the clock. Whatever the problem is, we need to identify it, repair it, put the car back together, and get the car tested, at least make one good straight hit on the street before we load it back in the trailer and head towards Indiana. What you got there, Slim?
It's a anti-roll bar.
It's hard to see in this video, but the anti-roll bar has twisted. Once the tubing welded between these two arms twists, it completely loses its structural rigidity. And from that point on, no matter how you adjust this anti-roll bar, the car is never going to go straight. Thankfully, Billy had the tools and the materials needed at his shop to repair and rebuild this anti-roll bar, and within just 2 hours, the car was being set back on the race blocks, and we were preparing to readjust the anti-roll bar to make a test hit. With Billy sitting in the driver's seat, I climb underneath the car and set the anti-roll bar neutral at static ride height. Once I was 100% certain that the anti-roll bar was installed correctly and adjusted properly, we took the Nova out on the street to make our first test hit and find out whether it's worth taking this car to Indiana and spending $500 on an entry fee, or if we should just stay home. The test pass that we had made on the street was good enough to warrant taking the car to Gangster's Paradise. First round started at about 7 o'clock, and it was a 42-car field of only the baddest guys from across the country on a 28 10.5 tire. Billy kind of got lucky and ended up with a competition bye first round when his opponent couldn't make the first round call. Tommy, on the other hand, wasn't as lucky. Tommy had to race Mike Gwynn's Nitrous Nova first round.
Good job, Tommy.
That's right. Woohoo!
Both the boys made it through first round, but eventually the Friday night event was split due to a thunder shower that moved in late in the night. Unfortunately, the heavy rains pretty much ruined any chance of racing on Saturday. The pits were a total mess. Although our pit spot was relatively dry, we weren't able to move our truck and trailer out until a lot of people behind us moved theirs out first. So since we were going to be stuck at the track for a little while, Vicky and I decided to hop in the 64 and follow the kids into town to get some lunch. Just a few miles south of the track is a little town called Nashville, Indiana, and there's one restaurant in town that we like to visit every time we're over this way. So we drove around until we found a decent place to park and then walked back down to the main street to go eat at the Nashville House. We had about a 35-minute wait to get seated, so we spent some time looking around in the gift shop. And as usual, Billy couldn't behave himself or follow directions. I don't know what that thing was that he had in his hand, but he wasn't supposed to be touching it.
Not toys. Children are not allowed to pick them up.
Thankfully, we managed to get seated before Billy got kicked out of the gift shop and before Vicky bought all the cookies they had. The food was really good, and it was nice just to sit down and relax for a few minutes before we had to get back on the road to head home. After lunch, Vicky decided she wanted to stop in this little gift shop just up the street from the restaurant. She had her eyes on chocolate and fudge in the window, but it turns out there was more than that.
What's going on in here?
Well, you want to see the firewall?
Oh,
A wallet, yeah.
wow.
You can carry everything in it too. What does all you think your card might be in? This one down there. Do you want to keep it there or change your mind? It's up to you. It'd be weird if that was your card. What? It's what?
After shopping for candy, hot chocolate, fudge, and ice cream, and watching a few magic tricks, it was time to head back to the track and load everything up so we could head home. I reluctantly followed Billy out the front gate. Yeah. And then me and June Pup settled in for our 4.5-hour ride home. Although our weekend at Brown County was kind of a bust, we still had a great time and we're already looking forward to next weekend. As we made our way back into Ohio, I realized that this week is the week for 4th of July. As we made our way into downtown, I noticed that the Levesque Tower was lit up red and white and blue to celebrate the 4th of July holiday, as well as some fireworks going off in the background. Somebody was lighting them off on top of a parking garage downtown. Anyway, we made it home around 10 o'clock that night, safe and sound, without any problems. However, we do have a little bit of a dilemma. The Nova won't be ready to race this coming weekend, and that means we need to get the S10 ready. We slept in a little bit on Sunday morning, and then in the afternoon, we brought the S10 in the shop and started preparing a list of things we need to get done to get it ready to race this coming weekend, which included a trip to Jegs to pick up a few parts Monday afternoon, which unfortunately led to me and Billy getting stranded in the 64 along the interstate with a loss of ignition.
Where are we at?
I don't know. Somewhere in Columbus. You said Whitehall exit?
Yeah. Main Street, 40.
This is the third ignition coil. I'd say that there's probably something wrong. This is the third time in 2 months the truck's left me stranded with no ignition along the road. So we got the truck to start and it made it this far. We're now in Etna, about 10 minutes from our house, and Buckwheat is supposedly on his way. At first we thought it was just a loose wire on the distributor, but then the truck died again 20 minutes later and we had no choice but to call Uncle Bucko.
Oh boy.
So the situation now is that the battery in the tongue of the trailer is dead. It charges through the battery on my dually. My dually's battery was dead. So about every 30 seconds, the battery charges just enough to move the truck 4 or 5 inches. So in order to load the 64 on the trailer, we had to pull the battery out of it and use jumper cables to power up the winch to pull the truck up on the trailer.
Ah! There it is. There's the shorts. There's all the shorts.
Well, welcome back everybody. So we have had a rough week in more ways than I can even explain. And judging by some of the things that are out here in my garage right now, it looks like Junior is ready to celebrate 4th of July. He and Kenny Powers have tag teamed the local fireworks place this afternoon, and it looks like we're fully stocked. Well, now what?
Do you know what time it is?
No.
3
Well,
a.m.
it is what it is. I got to get this video done.
Good thing is I'm off tomorrow for the holiday. I'm busy baking. We're having a cookout. Tess, Tony, Jimmy, they're all going to be arriving in the morning. And it's, wait. What?
Are you telling me you stood there that whole time jibber jabbering and you never noticed that?
about Phantom fireworks, but I figured, you know, a few little, oh my gosh,
Your son did it.
mischief.
He and Billy tag teamed the fireworks place this afternoon or this evening.
There was a big sale,
Right.
It
4th of
was-
July sale.
like buy one, get one.
Yeah. So there's that. And Junior went and bought a bunch of freaking go-karts today.
Yeah, he was scounging around for junk go-karts. And Kenny was last minute throwing pieces and parts and getting them running.
The Firecracker 500. That's what we're about to take part in tomorrow.
I'm going to go in and make sure that my first aid kit is all stocked up.
That's probably a good idea. So do you want to explain to everybody what's going on this weekend? We are headed to Katy Dragway this weekend,
Yes.
weather permitting, and the
guess what?
S10's coming out.
Yay!
We've been working on it. We think we've got it ready to go.
Everybody misses this truck, including us.
Yeah,
We
especially
miss it.
us.
We miss it. And we're excited to have it back at KD. So
The last time this truck went to this event, it won
Yeah.
with a carburetor. But we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, you know, he's still working through it, but he's excited to have it out.
All right. Let's get this video uploaded.
Wait, no.
What?
I gotta
Oh,
say the
for
details.
God's sake. We're going to Katy. What else do you need to say?
KD Dragway, South Webster, Ohio. It's a 2-day event. It's Friday and Saturday. There's different classes that run both days. It's $20 to get in. I think 12 and under are free. Gates open at noon, but the racing isn't until night. So we're talking 7 o'clock chip draw. Racing's not till after that. So you don't have to sit, you know, there forever.
Limpy's flagging.
Oh yeah, Limpy's flat.
Oh my God.
Wait, I'm doing the big. We
No.
are doing
no,
the
no,
big
no, no,
wheel
no.
race.
Jimmy Dale and you are doing the big wheel
And
race.
you.
No, come
and
on.
I'm gonna get Tess and Tony involved too. So yeah, we are gonna be putting on the
All
big
Tony's
wheel.
going to do is walk around with a camera aimed at her butt. That's what he always does.
Okay.
He's a perv.
Big wheel race.
Yeah.
Bring your kids. I'm making goodie bags. I've heard on the live feed that KD did that they've got money added into.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it could get a little serious.
All right. So see everybody at Katy Dragway this weekend, South Webster, Ohio. Don't miss it.
Yep. Wait, I get to talk about the July thing I'm doing.
You've
this
got
week?
13 seconds.
Okay. Everybody who orders something this week of 4th of July gets free Gasoline and Freedom decals in their order.
Are we done?
Yeah.